So Chrystia Freeland is trading in her Ukraine reconstruction hard hat for a fancy Oxford gown, and honestly, the timing couldn't be more Canadian if it tried. We're talking about someone who's been at the center of every major political drama in Ottawa for years, and now she's decided that overseeing scholarships sounds way more appealing than overseeing, well, everything else she was doing. Welcome back to Canadian Insights, where we break down the moves that make you go, wait, what just happened? Let's set the scene here. Chrystia Freeland, the woman who famously stood up to Trump during NAFTA negotiations, who became the first female finance minister of Canada, who had a very public and very dramatic resignation from Trudeau's cabinet last year, is now stepping away from her role as Canada's representative for Ukraine's reconstruction. And where's she going? Rhodes House. Yeah, that Rhodes House. The one in Oxford that hands out those prestigious Rhodes scholarships that basically turn students into future world leaders. She's going to be the warden, which sounds like a character from a fantasy novel but is actually a pretty big deal. Now, before anyone starts thinking this is just another case of a politician cashing out, let's pump the brakes for a second. Freeland has deep connections to Ukraine. Like, really deep. Her grandfather was Ukrainian, she speaks fluent Ukrainian, and she's been one of the most vocal supporters of Ukraine in the Western world since Russia's invasion. She wasn't just showing up for photo ops. This woman actually cared. So when someone like that steps away from coordinating Canada's efforts to help rebuild an entire war-torn country, you've got to wonder what's really going on behind the scenes. Here's where it gets interesting. Freeland's exit from the Deputy Prime Minister role and the Finance Ministry back in December was nothing short of explosive. Remember that? She basically wrote a resignation letter that read like a MIC drop moment, calling out the Prime Minister hours before he was supposed to deliver an economic update. The political world collectively gasped. Trudeau's inner circle imploded. The Liberals went into full crisis mode. And now, just months later, she's gracefully gliding into one of the most prestigious academic positions in the world. That's not just moving on. That's moving up. But let's talk about what this means for Ukraine. Canada's been a major player in supporting Ukraine's reconstruction efforts. We're talking billions in aid, military support, financial assistance, and diplomatic backing. Freeland wasn't just a figurehead in this role. She was actively coordinating with international partners, pushing for more support, and keeping Ukraine on the global agenda. Her stepping down means someone else has to pick up that torch, and let's be real, finding someone with her combination of passion, connections, and credibility on Ukraine issues isn't exactly easy. It's like replacing the lead singer of a band. Sure, you can find someone who hits the notes, but can they bring the same energy? And speaking of energy, let's talk about the Rhodes House gig for a second. This isn't some cushy retirement job where you show up, shake hands, and collect a paycheck. The Warden of Rhodes House is responsible for overseeing one of the world's most selective scholarship programs. We're talking about identifying and nurturing the next generation of global leaders. Past Rhodes scholars include Bill Clinton, Cory Booker, Rachel Maddow, and a whole bunch of prime ministers, Supreme Court justices, and Nobel Prize winners. So yeah, no pressure, Chrystia. Just shaping the future of humanity, no big deal. But here's the thing that's really worth paying attention to. This move raises questions about Freeland's political future. Is she done with Canadian politics for good? Is this her way of saying I'm out without actually saying it? Or is this a strategic retreat, a chance to rebuild her brand on the international stage before maybe, just maybe, making a comeback? Because let's not forget, Freeland was widely seen as a potential successor to Trudeau. Before the whole resignation drama, she was basically the heir apparent. And now she's stepping into a role that gives her global visibility, academic credibility, and distance from the mess that is Canadian federal politics right now. The Liberals are in rough shape. Trudeau's popularity is tanking, the party's polling numbers look like a horror movie, and there's a very real chance that Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives sweep into power in the next election. Maybe Freeland looked at that situation and thought, you know what? I'm going to sit this one out. Let someone else deal with the dumpster fire. I'll be in Oxford, thanks. And honestly, can you blame her? Sometimes the smartest political move is knowing when to leave the stage before the curtain falls on your head. Let's also consider the international angle here. Freeland's appointment to Rhodes House isn't just good for her. It's actually good for Canada's international reputation. Having a former Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister in such a prestigious position keeps Canada in the conversation at Oxford, at international conferences, in global academic circles. It's soft power, and Canada needs all the soft power it can get right now, especially with the geopolitical landscape being as chaotic as it is. But back to Ukraine for a moment, because that's really the immediate concern. Who's going to take over Freeland's role? How will this transition affect Canada's commitment to Ukraine's reconstruction? These are legitimate questions, and the answers matter. Ukraine is facing a long, brutal recovery process. The war has devastated infrastructure, displaced millions, and left scars that will take decades to heal. Canada's been a steadfast ally, and continuity in that support is crucial. Freeland's departure could signal a shift in how Canada approaches this commitment, especially if the new person doesn't have the same personal investment or international clout. And let's be honest, there's something poetic about Freeland's trajectory here. She went from being the tough-as-nails finance minister who wouldn't back down from Trump, to the deputy prime minister navigating a pandemic and economic crisis, to dramatically resigning in protest, to now becoming the gatekeeper of one of the world's most elite scholarship programs. It's like watching a political career turn into an academic one, and somehow, it makes perfect sense. Freeland's always been more intellectual than your average politician. She was a journalist before politics, she wrote a book on plutocrats, she speaks multiple languages. Oxford isn't a downgrade for her. It might actually be a better fit. So what does this all mean for Canadian politics? It means one less heavyweight on Parliament Hill. It means the Liberals lose someone with serious international credibility. It means Ukraine loses a passionate advocate in a key position. But it also means Freeland gets to step into a role that could define the next chapter of her career, away from the chaos of Ottawa and into the halls of one of the world's most prestigious institutions. If you found this breakdown helpful and you want to stay on top of everything happening in Canadian politics, make sure you're subscribed to Canadian Insights. We're putting out multiple videos every single day, breaking down the news that actually matters. Hit that like button if you appreciate the no-nonsense approach, and drop a comment below with your thoughts. Do you think Freeland's done with politics for good, or is this just a strategic pause? Let's talk about it. And hey, stick around because we've got more videos coming your way. Canadian politics never sleeps, and neither do we. See you in the next one.